Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I've got my co-host, James.
Hey, how's it going?
And today we're talking about Volume 8 of the Kaguya-sama Love is War manga. I don't know what to say before we get into it. Do you have any opening thoughts, opening words?
Just that I think this may be one of my favorite volumes so far, and just in
Ooh.
terms of character relationships, not necessarily romantic, but just relationships in general and
Mm,
the comedy that's in here. I think the chemistry between the student council right now is on point.
yeah.
So I think so far this probably is my favorite volume.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, in terms of that.
Very well. As usual, we'll go through the characters, talk about them one by one, then we'll talk about the comedy, and then we'll talk about the romance in this volume. So let's start with Kaguya Shinomiya as usual. At first, I didn't think, like, when I started taking notes for this volume, I didn't end up taking too much for her, but then it kind of toward the end of the volume, that's where I somehow got sort of caught up with notes
Yeah.
about Kaguya. Um, One side I thought was pretty nice that we saw of her this volume was that she felt bad about using I's old notebook, like
Mm-hmm.
the bell marks from that, and like 'cause she understood that was had sentimental value to I,
Yeah.
and so she felt bad about that, and that's something that's not typical of Kaguya, I feel, and I think it shows that she, it shows her sweet side, and how she genuinely cares about
Right.
the people around her.
Yeah, and she values Hayasaka's sacrifice, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
That she's considerate of the sentimental thing that Hayasaka gave to her. So
mm,
I think that was really sweet and good to see. But I'll have more on that when we talk about Hayasaka herself.
yes,
Another relationship that was really strong, and I debated where I want to talk about this, but I guess I'll split it up between the two. The Chika and Kaguya moment. There's the chapter 77.
yes. Chika Fujiwara wants to find out.
Correct. This is so good to me. There's two
Uh-huh.
times that I kind of cried
Mm,
reading this volume, and one was with the Hayasaka. I don't know. I just felt that moment was just so strong for me,
mm,
and then this one where they kind of have a misunderstanding, and so it becomes a little bit of a fight. But then they come into an understanding, or at least Kaguya understands that Chika would more or less die for her,
yeah,
and Kaguya herself thinks about it and basically says that she values the relationship that they have. She might treat her with disdain at times, just for reasons, but at the end of the day, not having Chika around would kind of crushing, I guess you could say,
mm,
to her. So yeah, I like seeing that, especially in the recent volumes, it was a lot of kind of not hate, but maybe not the best of feelings thrown at Chica, and I felt like she
yeah,
wasn't being appreciated as much.
yeah,
Um, and that goes into the cover as well. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's cute," Chica and Kaguya together. Wait, is she choking her?
yeah.
And so
Ah,
at first that threw me off. I was like, I don't know if I like that. And then I read that chapter, and oh, okay, I feel good about this. This makes sense. I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and I love it for that.
mm,
But it kind of embodies what their relationship is kind of like,
yeah,
and to be able to see Kaguya show her appreciation or realize that she does appreciate Chika was great for me.
absolutely. Like, first of all, I also love this volume cover. I think it's hilarious, and you can get a little bit of a better view of the actual image at the very end of the volume, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like right after the final chapter of the volume, where you can clearly see that Chika is actually embracing Kaguya in a hug, and Kaguya is just putting her hands around her neck. So like it's just really funny, but also like this chapter was definitely one of my favorite chapters this volume.
Mm-hmm.
Just so beautiful how we get to see just how much these two characters value each other as friends, and I thought it was nice to see that, when Kaguya for a moment, she was under the impression that Chika also liked Miyuki. And during that moment in her head, she didn't start cursing Chika like she has done in the past, Uh, Instead, she tried to, weigh her options, like, what should I do here? And she kind of came to the conclusion that she kind of values her friendship with Chika just as much as her romantic feelings for Miyuki, which I think is a huge thing for her.
So then she plays dirty in order to keep both of those.
Right, yeah, like, ultimately.
At least it tries to.
Yeah. But I still thought it was really nice because, I mean, she in the past, like, we haven't had too much reason to think that Kaguya cares a lot about Chika. I mean, I think it's clear that they have a bond, and,
Right.
they've been friends. Like, Chika is Kaguya's oldest friend, and all that. So that much has been clear. But I think with this volume, we really get to understand just how much both of them care about each other, and that is a lot. Like, they care a lot
Yeah.
about each other, and that's beautiful to see, I think.
Yeah, indeed. We also learn through Chika about Kaguya's mom, and
Yes.
we get a name from the doctor, right? Isn't that where we get?
Yes, it's pretty safe to assume,
mom's
at least
name?
that's, I think that's it.
And then,
Nayotake.
or yeah, I didn't actually write it down, but
Mm.
I assume that's what it was.
Yeah.
But also from Chika that she died and had medical issues, I guess you could say. So that's an interesting side that we haven't seen. Like, we've seen glimpses of her father. We understand he's kind of cold-hearted, the Shinomiya way, but we never heard anything about the mother. So it's nice to finally get something about that. And it's sad. I wasn't hoping it was death. That separated. I guess I was just, maybe she was just like the father, but it's sad sad that at such a young age she lost her mother.
Yeah.
But the other side of this is Chika mentions that Kaguya has health issues, like when the season changes. Like she said, it has a frail body.
Yeah.
But then it kind of turns into a joke. She's not really sick. She has a different kind of sick, love sickness.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was great for the joke, but then I wonder, so is it true that she has a frail body, and is that going to play a part in the story at some point where she has some illnesses to deal with? I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know either.
But I thought that was potentially interesting information.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that was so dramatic, that whole thing when Kaguya suddenly collapsed, and like, I remember the first time I read that part, I was like, oh shit, oh no, like, this can't be good at all.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I knew right away it was she was just love struck. I was like, man, I don't believe it for a second. I mean, I believe like the mom and the frail body, whatever. It's like, this is a total joke, and it turned out to be. I was like, holy.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously I laughed too.
I mean, yeah, it is a really funny chapter at the doctor's office and all that, and how Kaguya just, she keeps insisting that it's a heart disease and that she's not in love. Which, by the way, reminded me of the 10cc song, I'm Not in Love. I don't know if you've heard it. It's like a 70s song. Really good.
10cc song. Sometimes I've heard the songs, but never the band name,
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you would recognize this one if you heard it. But anyway. Yeah, it was a great chapter. Another part I thought related to Kaguya that I thought was kind of, I mean, funny, not funny enough so that I would put it under the comedy section in this discussion, but still funny, was when she was talking to Nagisa, and Nagisa and she thought of Nagisa as being complicated, and I just thought it was so funny coming from Kaguya.
Right, I agree. She's so in denial in that aspect. I think Miyuki would be the same way. Like, I guess they're kind of similar, that they don't acknowledge how complicated or high maintenance they both could be.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's all I have on Kaguya.
All right. I have one last thing on Kaguya, and it's that And we this is something that I feel like we've touched on in a lot of our volume discussions so far, and it's how Kaguya, she keeps denying that she's in love or that she likes
Mm.
Miyuki.
Mm-hmm.
And she even did it in the doctor's office in this one.
Mm-hmm.
However, in the was it the last chapter, the one with Miko Ino? Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where Miko Ino confronts her at the end, and she questions her like about her feelings about Miyuki, and at this point she doesn't say straight out that there is nothing there. She says that she doesn't know how she feels about him. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a step in the right direction. She's slowly but steadily starting to acknowledge her feelings for Miyuki. Like she doesn't confirm it yet. Like she doesn't say yes that
Right.
she does. But this is definitely a good step in the right direction.
Well, I like how kind of thoughtful the answer is. It's not a yes or a no. It's how can I
Right.
tell you when I don't even know myself, and
Yeah.
it's obviously that conflict in her is still raging on that we saw. Was it last volume or volume 6? I think it was volume 6, wasn't it?
Mm.
The she had like the inner monologue between herself when she gave the cake
Oh yeah, yeah.
to to Miyuki. So that kind of battle is still raging on inside of her.
Absolutely, yeah. I think
So
so.
yeah, that was a good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So I look forward to the day when maybe she will finally acknowledge it.
Mm, indeed.
uh, but yeah, moving on to Miyuki. I'm really sorry to say that I took very few notes on him.
Same.
Oh.
Same. I mean, look, he did his role. I will say that it does. I mean, there are moments. He has strong moments in each of these volumes, but you know, he hasn't had too many like strong showings since the fifth volume. I think. Well, I
Yeah.
guess I guess last volume where he helped out Miko, that was pretty good. But besides that, I
Hmm.
mean, he's still a good character, but there's nothing
Yeah.
nothing terribly new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think I struggled with this like the past two volumes too, like to find stuff that I thought was noteworthy kind of
Mm-hmm.
about him. I mean, I think we've ultimately been able to talk about him a decent amount,
Sure.
uh, but I mean, maybe this might have been the hardest one, the hardest volume yet to kind of find kind of new stuff on him uh, throughout.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was part of a lot of like gags kind of
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. The only thing I took note of was that we learned that his family eats a lot of bean sprouts. That's the only thing I wrote about him. It's a little bit embarrassing.
Um, I didn't write that, but that is yeah. I mean, he did collect a lot of those bean sprout things. Well, they're cheap and yummy according to him. Now I
Yeah,
do like bean sprouts, but I would not eat that much.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, I guess it depends how long he's been collecting.
yeah,
He secretly likes shoujo manga, but I guess it's not
yeah. Or at
necessarily
least
secret.
he
Or at least this one, this masterpiece, if you
right.
will.
He starts to maybe he will start reading more of it, like those torsos of manga after this. I don't know. But
I mean, they had that whole chapter where they were kind of like living out their shoujo manga
yeah,
fantasies.
I love that.
Uh, um, so yeah, maybe he'll start reading more.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wrote is he actually in that chapter. Well, I guess that was kind of a good segue.
Hmm.
In that chapter, he actually invites Kaguya to the aquarium,
Oh yeah.
and then he gets rejected.
You're right. You're right.
So I mean, hey, that's really great progress for him to invite her to go somewhere and not worry about if she's going to say no or not per se, and about worry about that battle. But then he does get rejected. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't take it too hard.
Yeah, although to be fair, he kind of was under the shoujo manga brain
The
syndrome
spell.
at the time. Yeah.
Well, no,
So,
actually,
huh?
I mean, yeah, I guess you could still say it. But the, I think when he invites her, is he still in Shogun manga world?
I think
Shoujo
so.
manga.
I'm pretty sure they still are, both of them at that point.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
I think the only parts in that chapter where they're not is when Chika comes in.
And then at the very end, when they're at the aquarium. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
But but I mean, still, like, even though he was under the quote unquote spell, I still think, yeah, it's definitely a good moment because I mean that chapter. the events of it still happened. It's not like it's not canon.
Hmm.
But it is, but still a bit of a special chapter.
Yeah, right. So that's all I have on Miyuki.
All right, well, that was more than I had. Moving on to Chika Fujiwara. Kaguya and Miyuki think that she's just. They both say that she's just using Miko kind of as a new toy. In one of the early chapters, the one where she like is trying to get Miyuki, or Chika is trying to get Miko to loosen up a bit, and
Hmm.
uh, well, both Kaguya and Miyuki accuse her of just kind of toying with Miko, but I actually think that she was giving Miko some pretty good advice in that chapter, like things that Miko probably needed to hear, or
Right.
like she says, no one will take you seriously if you're always mad.
Hmm.
That's a good advice, I think.
Yeah, I agree. She's giving her really good advice, and I love how she's kind of trying to help her feel welcomed in the friend group in the student
Yeah,
council,
that
and
too. Yeah.
loosen her up a bit. Um, I guess maybe trying to help her make more friends in that sense and
Hmm.
understand their generation, I
Yeah.
guess. But I also think what Miyuki and Kaguya said about her having a new toy is kind of is kind of true, especially somebody that looks up to Chika.
Yeah.
She's obviously gonna find great joy in that, because just like with Miyuki, where Miyuki kind of depends on her, perhaps she sees Miko as kind of depending on her as well, and so she feels not necessarily obligated, but sees it as an opportunity to bestow her wisdom upon Miko, but in a not a patronizing way, but
Hmm.
just in a I want to help you loosen up or be
Yeah.
be friends and whatnot. So
For sure. Yeah, and how she, even makes Miko go along with them breaking some rules there in the student
yeah.
council chambers is really, really nice. And I think great for Miko to kind of get to be a part of that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Indeed,
good move on Chica's part.
agreed. And I love, again, like I said before, the relationship between her and Kaguya. She would
Hmm.
she would basically die for Kaguya,
Yeah.
and I I hope that going forward we just see a little more appreciation for Chika. I'm fine with her being poked at, but you know, it's whatever. It's just a fictional character.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's she could be comedic relief all she wants. She's hilarious, but at the same time, I hope that they just treat her a little better moving forward. But
Yeah, I think the chapter we talked about earlier with her and Kaguya, I think is a probably a sign that it's going to be more kind of that stuff. I mean, obviously she likely will not leave her comic relief stuff completely, but
no, no, and we don't wouldn't want that.
right, yeah, for sure. But to also have those really beautiful moments like we had in this in this volume,
Hmm.
I think that's awesome, and I would love to see more of that as well. And in this in that same chapter where the one with her and Kaguya and their friendship bond thing,
Hmm.
we also kind of get it confirmed in that chapter that Chika, at least at the moment, doesn't
Hmm.
have any romantic interests.
Yeah.
Since she had to lie, or not lie, but sort of lie about having one in Kaguya.
Sorry for sounding like, oh, I'm so smart. I called everything, but I, when I was reading this chapter and she said, "Oh, there's someone I like," I bet it's Kaguya, and then and then you get to the part, it's like I was right.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I mean, I think it's she kind of pulled that something similar before. I feel
I
like
think
I
so
can't.
too.
It's on point for her character that
Mm.
one, she doesn't necessarily have anybody she likes right now, romantically. That makes sense. But two, all that she adores Kaguya, you know, just loves her. So it makes sense for her. But I'm glad we got this little confirmation about that she doesn't necessarily have any romantic interests at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think we talked about that, and we both kind of had the feeling that she didn't. But yeah, this is a hard confirmation on that. So yeah, it should be interesting. Maybe she'll find someone eventually at some point further down the line. Who knows?
I think it's possible, especially since they bring this point up. If you bring something up, you can always go back to it. Whereas if you never bring it up, it's kind of, it's sometimes just won't ever get addressed. So I think it could be something that maybe she grows fond of, maybe somebody in the student council, or maybe someone outside of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would be like a boy band crush. That would be kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't think it would exactly get like that. But I will say that I feel like there was it this volume or last where Ishigami was going through the list of people, like potential, or should I say this for the Ishigami part? Because is it this volume?
It's this volume, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll save that for the
Actually,
Ishigami part.
maybe we could talk about that for the romance.
Oh, okay, sure. Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, I'll save it for the romance. No
All right.
problem. I guess the last thing I'll say from me about Chika. Well, actually, I have two things. One, not even she understands Kashiwagi or some of the puzzles that her Kashiwagi's boyfriend was putting out there.
Yeah.
Which, her being the love detective and all, and being a woman, you think she would have caught on to some of these things. But she's calling Ishigami sensei, one, hilarious, but two, it's like, wow, really? Like, not even, love crazy Chika, or, because she likes the romance stuff.
Yeah.
There was that. And then the other thing is, she doesn't like, I think we've seen this before, but she doesn't like to lose, and she gets really defensive, and she kind of points that at Ishigami and basically just yells at him. It's like, foul play, foul play, foul play.
Yeah.
kind of gets a little very childish about it.
Very. And I mean, we definitely have had reason to think of her as a bad loser, or basically, or just not wanting to lose based on the fact that she's basically cheated in 2 games already. That's happened in the student council chambers.
True.
She will go above and beyond to not lose.
I guess you could even argue she was cheating this time with this the note or the bells or whatever they called.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Sort of in a way, in a way that she didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I have one last thing on her. It's just a little mention that she apparently found a way to get around her dad's ban on manga by buying the ebooks.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
So
she does have a bit of a rebellious side in her. Like, she doesn't follow everything that her dad, says. She will actually go behind his back and, read some shoujo manga. Which I really like that.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. Moving on to Yu Ishigami.
Bro is hilarious. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how many times I just was laughing my butt off with just his expressions or what he says. Like, in that same chapter where he's giving the great or being able to figure out Kashiwagi, basically.
Yeah.
There's this pose he does. I gotta find it. I didn't put down the page number. He's talking about she didn't have the energy to tidy up her room before, and he's just standing there with his arms up in the air, just like, what? Like, I mean, his face is just kind of blank, but they're all just in awe, and sawa sawa, sawa sawa. Have you ever seen? Oh shoot, what is now I can't remember the anime, but there's an anime that uses zawa zawa, and it's not just that anime that it's known for, but it's a very notable feature of this anime where there's just these voices that say zawa zawa, zawa zawa when something crazy happens,
Oh,
or
I see.
something high stakes happens, and so anyway,
Ah, I
so it's,
see.
I,
That's good to know. I don't think I've ever come across it, or at least I've never paid attention to it. Noticed it.
yeah, it's
Huh.
yeah, I'll if I remember the name, I'll let you know. But
Yeah, please do.
anyway, it's just for me that moment was just so great for Ishigami. And I know I should be saying that, maybe saving that in comedy, but I think that just shows that why people like Ishigami and why I like Ishigami so much is he's
Hmm.
just, I just think he has great comedic timing,
Yeah,
and at the same time is very good at giving advice, and
absolutely.
even if it does become, hilarious or a joke or something,
Well, I think he's all about fairness, kind of, and like being like making sure that everyone is being treated in a fair way,
Yeah,
and that's such a beautiful side of his character, I think.
totally.
And we see in this volume that he tries to give Miko Ino advice to be more considerate of others. Obviously, she refuses to listen to him, but then Chika basically says the same thing, and obviously then Miko listens to it, and it's just one of those moments where it just use wisdom just goes to waste, or
I think that kind of speaks to, once again, like he gives good advice. He also seemingly knows people well, or at least he is intuitive into what they could be thinking or wanting. I mean, that whole Kashiwagi chapter, he basically nailed it out of the park, and that could just
yeah,
be due to his playing the or watching rom-coms, or
yeah,
playing visual novels or whatnot. But I think he's also intuitive, and is just able to think clearly about those things as well. So
absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah, he was definitely the MVP in that chapter, I'd say.
Hmm.
So anything more on you?
Going along with his intuitiveness, I like how he's able to see the cliches in the story, but still find it emotional.
Yes.
So like
Oh yeah.
he like points out, oh yeah, this is a typical thing where he uses the tear jerking moment, and then he just like balls, he just starts crying, and I kind of relate to that in a way. Not to say I have like big brain powers or anything like that, but more among the lines of my sister can vouch for this. She doesn't listen to these podcasts, but whenever I'm with her, I'm able to call out the plot of a movie as we're watching it, and she's like, "Stop using your quirk." And if you've ever seen My Hero Academia, like they have
Yeah.
quirks. So she says my quirk is predicting the plot lines of stories, and so I kind of feel similar to Ishigami in that sense. I'll say, oh, this is gonna happen and it's gonna be sad or whatever, but I still get emotional.
Yeah.
I still find it touching, and I mean it depends on the author, and I think that's the point in this, and that this shoujo artist is just so good, and or the manga is just so good that it'll make anybody cry, even the veteran Ishigami, he'll cry over it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I found that relatable, and it made me like him even more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. I couldn't relate to it in that exact kind of way,
Yeah, I
but
know, it's kind of weird.
uh, no, but I think that's really cool. But the slightly different way that I was able to kind of really kind of feel that was that, uh, like for example, if I'm reading something or watching something that I'm not like, maybe I don't really like it. Maybe I feel like this anime or whatever it is, I feel like it's maybe a little like lower tier, like
Hmm.
B anime, and I'm like, but I'm watching it anime because I'm a weeb. And then it comes to that like an emotional part where like you're quote unquote supposed to cry, and usually I at least cry a little bit, even though I'm like not really invested. I still it still manages usually to do that, even though I don't know. It's weird. It's dumb, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally understand, and it makes sense.
Yeah. Do you get anything more on you?
Just that the last chapter is titled, it has his name on there, like it closes his eyes or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yes, the second part of Yushigami closes his eyes.
Right, part two.
Mm.
And yet there's like mention of him once, but then it never comes
Mm-hmm.
up again. So it was such an interesting strategy or move on Akasaka's part in that this is like the first time we've had a chapter feature someone's name and they barely appear in it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. Part one of Yushigami closes his eyes was the chapter where Kaguya tutored you.
Hmm.
And now this part two is this, and it's like, huh? Like, what's that supposed to mean? I have my suspicions, but I don't know if I want to share them since I'm not sure if
Well,
they are spoilery.
well here, well let me say my suspicion because
Yes.
I think it's clear that there's some rumors about Ishigami from his past
Mm.
that he mentions in part one that are coming back, and that's those
Yeah.
rumors are probably what Miko is. Either she's close to those rumors or she's one of the people who has heard about those rumors, and
Mm.
that's why she treats Ishigami that way. So it's either one of those. So I'm not entirely sure why he wouldn't appear in the chapter that has his name in it, unless Miko is part of that backstory somehow,
Mm.
in some sort of connection there. But I guess it could also just be that she's just another case of someone treating treating Ishigami poorly because of those rumors.
Mm.
I also think it's a lead up to the next volume. I feel like we'll have a part 3 in the next volume, but
Yeah, maybe.
maybe that's just me.
No, I think that's a sound speculation.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I think does it end at to be continued? Like,
Yeah, it does. But so did last
hmm,
volume with the underwear.
true. But I think they did. Did they not continue the panty talk? Like, didn't?
Well, actually they did slightly.
Hmm.
They actually did. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It actually started with that, like Kaguya's like, why do men cheat? Like the man whore thing.
Yeah.
So you're right. It did continue, like literally, right
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah. I'm very excited for Volume 9. Volume 9 is one of my favorite volumes.
Awesome.
But anyway, moving on to the next character, my girl Miko Ino.
Yeah.
We talked a little about how you know how Chika kind of helped loosen Miko up a bit,
Hmm.
and she, Miko is challenged by Chika in that chapter to control her anger for a whole hour, and to not express anger like whatever anyone does, and and I love that so much, and like you obviously makes it especially hard for her, with everything that he does. He takes a potato chip and eats it, in the words of Light Yagami. Anyway, I love that part a lot, and I think, like as I said earlier, I think it was something that Miko needed, like breaking
Yeah,
those school rules and kind of being part of that and goofing off with Chika. It was good for her, I think.
I agree, and it's heartwarming to see at least Chica try to reach out to her and try to make her feel welcome within the group.
Hmm.
Something that I took away from this that is basically a continuation from the previous volume, how the previous volume ends, is she walks in on a lot of uh, interesting situations and she takes the wrong way. It becomes misunderstandings.
Yes.
Um, and so, from a comedic factor, that's hilarious. But
Uh-huh.
surprisingly, that actually ends up becoming a instigator in that final chapter where she's putting it all together and just yeah, well, at first she accuses Miyuki of being this terrible person,
Yeah.
and then obviously that changes to Kaguya. But uh, I like the payoff of having all those times where she accidentally walks in on Kaguya and Miyuki, and then she kind of puts it in her head what's actually going on or whatever. So
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, obviously she's wrong, and she has at the end of the chapter she has doubts about it, but I don't know. I like how the payoff there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in that chapter, like how she had dreamed of being like a breath of fresh air to the student council, and sort of like and like she had almost envisioned the rest of them to be more strict than she is, and like for her to come off as like the slightly more chill one, which is first of all, of course, super unrealistic for her since she is
Yeah.
definitely the most uptight one around on the entire school, probably. I guess maybe if she had joined the student council like back when Kaguya was still like Ice Kaguya, like maybe if she had joined back then, her fantasy would have been a bit more accurate. But I don't know. It it was just funny to see that though, and like how just ridiculous that whole like her fantasy was there.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The a weeping angel with
Oh,
Chika. It's so dramatic.
yeah,
Uh, you just yeah, her fantasies on how it was all supposed to play out. Is humorous, and it just shows that she kind of has a wild imagination. And I mean, it goes in line with her walking in on Kaguya and Miyuki, in that she automatically goes into the thought process that, oh my gosh, they're doing sexual things or something like that.
yeah, yeah. And I think that something that goes along with that, like the fact that she keeps coming in the wrong moments and just interprets things as way worse than they really are, um, is that well, I didn't count it, but I got the feeling because at the end of most of the battles of the chapters is like a winner or a loser. And I
Hmm.
feel like she lost a lot this volume. It's just something that it just felt that way. I didn't count them, so maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like that to me. So yeah, she lost a lot of battles, I think. Um, and just how and something like that I thought was kind of a nice little mirror back to Yu Ishigami's introduction into the story was basically I think his first line ever might have been when he's with Miyuki in the student council chambers and he says I want to quit the student council, and we got that in this chapter where Miko said that to Kobachi.
I don't think we know her name yet.
I don't
Is
think we
she?
do actually, yeah, but as I said last time, it's not like we
Oh
might as
yeah,
well.
I think you did say it last time. That's right.
Yeah, her name is Kobachi Osaragi. But I thought that was a nice little rhyme, I guess, with the Miyuki or with the Yu's introduction to the story, uh, where we see both of those characters feeling like they want to quit the student council
Hmm.
over honestly ridiculous, like for ridiculous reasons, both of them.
It's an interesting parallel.
Yeah, I like it. Oh yeah, and if we go back to the chapter where they were where Chika was helping Miko loosen up, um, I thought like one thing that kind of gave us a little bit of a confirmation that it had worked, like that Chika's plan to loosen Miko up a bit had worked, was that at the end of it, uh, even though Miko was a bit embarrassed about it, um, I think I think it was implied that she was happy that Chika shared those pictures with her, like because
Hmm.
she took a lot of photos, and it's at least the way I saw it. It seemed like Miko was happy to get those pictures.
I agree. I think she was kind of implying that she might want them,
Yeah,
and but Fujiwara just kind of did it for her, or basically gave it to her
yeah,
without her coming out and
yeah.
saying
She
it.
she, she
But
didn't force her to like ask for them.
hmm
Like probably Kaguya would have done maybe. But
Right.
yeah. I also thought it was kind of surprising almost how interested Miko seemed in hearing from Chika who she was interested in, who she liked, or well, who she pretended to like in a romantic way when they had the welcome party for her.
Oh,
Because Miko asked, yeah, she asked like who it was, like that Chika was talking about in that, which I thought was funny because I don't know, it's a side of her that obviously we haven't seen much of, like what what's her romance side. We saw a little bit about it though in that last chapter in this volume, where she talks about how her junior high years like was the worst time in her life because she was more or less bullied for sticking out the way she did, I think. But someone anonymously tried to cheer her up, like without taking any credit for it back then,
mm-hmm.
and an act like that to Miko is what she considers true love. And there we are again, true love. We talked about it last time, but she does use that term. I thought that was funny how, but they didn't make a deal out of it here. But she does use the exact term true love here as well.
Yeah, interesting.
So that's what we know of what she thinks of love and stuff so far. It's someone that kind of just selflessly uh, supports someone they care about, I suppose.
Yeah, it is interesting. I didn't really, or I forgot to take note on the fact that yeah, Miko does seem very invested on who Chika likes. Maybe I gotta approve of this person.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I like that possibility.
But no, yeah,
Hmm.
that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Got anything more on Miko?
I don't think I do. I liked her comedy bits, and yeah, I think that's about it.
Nice. Then let's move on to Ai Hayasaka.
Yeah, for me, Hayasaka. I mean, she had some good comedy moments, like when they were reading the shoujo manga together. That was pretty funny. But
Yeah, I thought it was funny how even she cried from it.
yeah, right. It's good if she starts crying.
Right.
The funny is just like, hurry up and finish the volume so I can read. I'm not done yet. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
But
so into it.
right.
Uh,
For me, the part that really got me is where they're getting the stickers, and I guess we mentioned this before, but
mm,
we get a look into how she was kind of raised in that she couldn't see her mother much, and so they really only communicate with the notebook, and
yeah.
that notebook was very precious to her, and so she kept that all these years. I really like that backstory we got, even though it was so brief, but at the same time she was willing to cut a piece of that treasure and give it to Kaguya,
Yeah.
um, because they have a sister kind of relationship, and I feel like this is the first time where they acknowledge that it's more than just a you know servant or assistant kind of relationship. It's sisterly
Well, yeah,
kind of bond.
I think except for in the little bio page on I in one of the earlier
Hmm.
volumes, where I think it said there that she and Kaguya had somewhat of a sisterly relationship, if I recall. I could be wrong about that though, but I think there was something about that. But this is the first thing, like from the characters, where I actually,
Right.
yeah, she does confirm here that she views Kaguya firstly as a little sister, and secondly as her mistress,
Hmm.
which is funny because they're both second years, so they're presumably born in the same year. And we know that Kaguya's birthday is January 1st. So she's probably not older than Kaguya.
Well, she could be.
I mean, I guess she could be if she repeated a year or started school late.
I mean, yeah, I think it just depends. Like my parents didn't put me in school. Like I was usually the older person in my class.
Oh, I see.
I was born in October, So maybe Hayasaka was born around there, and I don't know.
Oh. Oh, I guess maybe some countries don't split the grades
I'm
at.
not sure how Japan does it.
Yeah, because actually, I think you're right. At least some countries don't split the years at the New Year's. I think in England they don't. They have some other split basically. So it might
Hmm.
be different in Japan too. Yeah, it's possible. But regardless, anyway, my point was basically that even if she isn't technically older than Kaguya, she definitely acts like it. What I was
Right,
gonna say. So yeah,
for sure. And I don't know. I just that whole interaction really got me kind of emotional just to see them
yeah,
have the understanding, and I really liked it. It helped. It helped. It helped be let the next part be comedic. It's
right,
you have that really emotional part, and then it doesn't work out, so they get help with the comedy. But it was just a really sweet moment between the two.
absolutely. And I thought it was nice, as you mentioned, also like to get that little bit of backstory for Hayasaka, and
Hmm.
um, and it makes a lot of sense for her mother to, or at least if we look at Ai herself, we know that she is super busy with her work, working
Yeah,
for Kaguya. So her mother, also being a Hayasaka, probably has just as busy of a job, since the Hayasaka family serves the Shinomiya family in that kind of way.
for sure. I'm glad we're getting more backstory on that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to get even more on Hayasaka, because I feel like Hayasaka is the biggest character that's not a main character, sort of.
That's fair. Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah, I'd say she's bigger than Kashiwagi. Hmm.
yeah, yeah, definitely, or well, maybe not definitely, but yes. uh, and the last thing I got on I is just how like basically how sorry I felt for her when she was with Kaguya at the hospital and she was just so embarrassed for
Oh
Kaguya.
yeah. Uh,
She just
yeah,
wanted
you
to
feel for her
disappear.
that moment. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, let me
Oh,
die.
yeah. Poor Ai. You got anything more on her?
Nah, that's all I
All
got.
right. Well, then tell me what you got on Nagisa Kashiwagi.
Kashiwagi. I mean, we find out that she's a lot more complicated
Yeah.
and higher maintenance than maybe we knew before.
Yeah,
Although
which is
there was definitely.
nice.
Oh, it's yeah. I mean, nice. She's not like this perfect or boring character per se, but um, I guess you could also see the signs of that where she was basically trying to change her boyfriend, his
Yeah.
looks, and she definitely has like a type apparently.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was so, I don't know. It was nice to see more more depth to her than just being a straight man commenting on events or whatnot.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, she realizes that she was being difficult, and she eventually apologizes, and yeah, so it just shows that she's a good person as well. So I don't know, I like that little
Absolutely.
side we got of her.
Yeah. Yeah, basically how she's upset with her boyfriend because he keeps accepting everything she says and does, and that he never gets mad with her. Because I mean, we definitely got that. Uh, well, we understood that she was kind of bossing him around a bit. We kind of
Mm-hmm.
got that impression when he suddenly changed his whole appearance and everything, because of her. But maybe she doesn't want him to be so obedient.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think that's a fair assessment.
I think she wants more resistance from his side. Like she doesn't want to decide everything about him and all that, which is good. I think he should do more. I
Yeah,
guess
he should do more.
you know.
At the same time, he's got to be careful on what he decides to do. For example, she says, "I want to go play a fighting game." He's like, okay, I'll impress her with my fighting skills, and he whoops her, and obviously she's upset about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Ishigami's like, what are you, an idiot, or whatever he says. But you totally crushed her. So in that sense, I guess he did what he wanted to do, and that was the wrong thing. And
Yeah.
I don't blame her for being upset. You gotta
True.
realize who your opponent is at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess Kashiwagi's boyfriend to me is not as maybe not as good of a person as I thought. I don't know. Like he is a bit go with the flow, and you know whatever Kashiwagi says is fine, but at the same time he doesn't realize what the faults he did at the end of the chapter. He's like, oh, well, she apologized. I have no idea why, but I guess thanks. He hasn't learned anything.
Yeah.
He
He's a doofus.
Yeah, he's a bit of a doofus. Yeah, maybe that's it. It's not so much that he's a bad person. He's a doofus.
I think so. Yeah.
He doesn't understand what's going on. He's kind of just going with the motion.
He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess that explains his grades, what they were
Right.
before.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I honestly don't think he's like bad in any way. He's just, yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, I think you put it well. He's a doofus.
Yeah, yeah. And he's unable to. Admittedly, some of the situations that he described in that chapter, some of them I struggled with. Like I couldn't figure them out. Definitely not as well as you did.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, Ishigami, not you, James.
No, I'm in the same boat. Some of them, yeah, I was like, I don't know, like actually.
But there were some that were super obvious, I think.
Right. Well, the one where he visits her with a cold, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. She needs to clean her room, but I didn't think that. I thought maybe she was on her period or something like that.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was
right,
like, yeah,
right. So maybe I don't understand women at all.
Yeah.
But cleaning, wanting to have the room clean. I mean, yeah,
That's fair.
that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
fair. The other one where they changed the profile picture,
Yeah.
I got that. That one makes sense, and that one I was kind of like, why? I wasn't. I understand why Kashiwagi would be upset. I was wondering why he would change his profile picture so willy nilly like that. Not to say like you can't, but I don't know. Like you would think he would realize that would have upset her. I don't know. At the same time, I've never been in a relationship, so I don't know exactly. I guess I'm more confused why he would change it to a cat to begin with. But whatever.
I don't know. He's a doofus.
He's a doofus.
Yeah. So we've talked about Kashiwagi and her boyfriend. We could talk about Maki a little bit. Well, there wasn't much.
Oh, so sad. So sad.
She was like, "Will I ever be that happy?"
Oh gosh.
That was like, oh, my heart.
Oh no. That's like all we have of her this volume.
Yeah, there wasn't much at all for her. I was starting to get my hopes up a little bit last volume because she actually was in a chapter, like legitimately, and like we could see her clearly, and she had a line in a chapter.
She had speaking line.
Yeah.
I thought this is going to start the gradual integration of her, but nope. No.
No.
Teasing
Maybe soon though. I don't know. Moving on to Kobachi Osaragi, Glasses Girl. She doesn't seem to dislike you, unlike most other first years. Assuming she's a first year. I guess I could be wrong about that. But she's a friend of Miko's, and I guess just assume they're the same grade.
Yeah, I think it's safe. I mean, they seem to be childhood friends too. So
Exactly, yeah. So that's a really nice like change of pace, I think, to have a character who doesn't have that kind of blind dislike for him.
Yeah, what does she say about Ishigami exactly?
she points out that she like Miko didn't involve you in her fantasy thing, and then Miko says that, oh, I don't want to spend time, like waste time on Ishigami, and then Kobachi thinks, like we see her think, and it says poor Ishigami, so she feels sorry
Hmm.
for him. That I think that's it though.
Okay. All right. I mean, yeah. I guess yeah. It doesn't have too much of a opinion on him then. Just
Right.
you know.
But at least it's she doesn't think ill of him, which I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
that alone I'm really happy to see that, especially from a presumed first year.
Gotcha. She also seems to have interesting likes in that she, when uh, Miko describes what the student council is like, she says, "It doesn't sound that bad." It sounds.
Yeah.
I personally find it pretty appealing. Uh,
You're
uh,
right.
based on what Miko described is kind of is warped. So,
Yeah.
like the obscene photos of Fujiwara, you know,
Yeah.
obviously they don't exist, but
Exactly.
she didn't seem like that was too bad.
Yeah, that that is kind of funny. Uh, and also, I think, and basically how she helps Miko to clear up her warped idea of Miyuki, which backfires
Yeah,
ultimately,
yeah, it does
sort of. Uh, but yeah, she seems like a really good girl, good kid.
indeed.
What do we got left? We got Kei Shirogane.
Oh yeah, she appeared.
She's the one who recommended the shoujo manga initially,
Mm-hmm.
and she and Miyuki and maybe even others later on, but they describe this manga as a manga that makes you want to fall in love. Now,
Yeah.
doesn't that sound familiar? Where have I read a manga like that? Looking at the volume in my hand.
Oh, yeah. It just makes you want to have a best friend that you can choke.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that was must have been an intentional thing. I feel for Akazaka to put that line in there, a manga that makes you want to fall in love. Because at least I feel this manga has at least had that effect on me. Maybe not this early, or to a
Mm-hmm.
degree, definitely to a degree this early, but it gets more, I think, as the story
Well,
progresses.
whenever I read a good rom com or a good shoujo, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have those, yeah, that want to, yeah, I want to fall in love too.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. That whole
Uh-huh.
chapter, I was wondering, is this a reference to a manga that actually exists, and
Ah.
that, or is this just a testimony to, you know, shoujo manga masterpieces out there? I don't know,
Yeah. I don't know.
but that I think it's a fair assessment to take away that this manga makes you want to fall in love. I mean, yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Last character I got written down here, and we mentioned him earlier a little bit, Dr. Shozo Tanuma,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
and how he basically the only thing I wrote down for him was how, and we mentioned this also, how he basically talks to Kaguya's mother while gazing at the moon, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably a little bit of a nod to the tale of the bamboo cutter,
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know if it's got any more meaning. Is there something uh, you know this doctor, he started trying to tell a story about when he was young and he was in love and all that,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I wonder, and then he was talking to Kaguya's mom like in that kind of way. I'm like, did he have a thing for Kaguya's mom before she
Oh,
got together with her dad? Maybe, I don't know. But it's
that's
a
an interesting theory. I didn't think about that, but that definitely could be a story plot.
yeah,
The
could be
way
interesting.
the way I took it, which could be wrong, is that since he was their family doctor, he probably watched over Nayotake for a while and
Yeah,
knew her and her condition. So maybe he had a bond with her in that sense, not
yeah,
necessarily romantically, but as a friend. And um, so he was maybe even there when she passed away. So I guess
yeah.
that's why he. looks at him fondly. But now that I think about it, that's it would be very interesting if there was some sort of backstory between him and Kaguya's mom.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm willing to see how that shapes out.
Absolutely, yeah. If it does. But yeah, could be fun. Well then, let's talk about the comedy then. The opening of the whole volume I thought was great with Kaguya and and how Kaguya just couldn't say the word sex, and she just kept toying with her about that. I thought that was really funny.
But that chapter is pretty great because she tries to give him Miyuki a massage, and
Yes.
she's giving him immense pain. So just physical comedy the entire way, and
Ooh.
hilarious.
And Miyuki's face when he's in pain,
Oh,
is
yeah.
it's so well
Gosh.
drawn. It's like you can feel you can feel the pain by just seeing his face. I feel like it's just so funny.
It's like he's getting eaten by a titan or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Oh my god. And then of course Miko Ino comes in at the end.
Oh,
And
boy.
that just like makes it even more funny.
Of course, that line would pop up, or that whole, not just that line, but that whole moment.
Yeah. And I also love how Kaguya just goes overboard, and how she gets so much of these hormones that make you want to be physical with each other or whatever. And yeah, just an overdose of that. So funny.
Miko's answer at the very end, where she's like, "I'm inexperienced. I only get in your way." Like, what?
Oh yeah, yeah, I love this chapter
Miko, yeah.
for all of
Hilarious.
this. Oh my god, so
Such a
funny.
good chapter.
Yeah.
I also like how they play Mario Kart in the next chapter.
Yes.
I like that little just thing they're doing in the background. I don't know. It's so minor, but it was just kind of made me smile. As a Nintendo fanboy, it was nice to see that reference.
Totally. Yeah,
Throughout
I
the whole thing.
absolutely agree with that. And
And the Switch, no less.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so convenient. Nintendo, you can sponsor us if you want. We will talk very well about the Nintendo Switch. But my favorite part in that chapter was when Chika wanted Kaguya and Miko to do like cute faces or ugly faces, and Kaguya does this face where first we don't get to see her face, and we see that Chika really likes it. She says, "Oh, it's so cute. It's like the first or second cutest face you've ever made." And in the same panel, we see Miko's reaction to Kaguya's face when we don't see Kaguya's face. Miko is just like in shock. He's like, "Oh no," like, which is like the first hint of like it's not a cute face. And then obviously she goes and shows that face to Miyuki and Yu, and oh my god, that face and Yu's reaction is like, that's ugly.
That's ugly.
So good. And
Surprisingly,
Kaguya's-
Kaguya doesn't like beat him up or anything. She's like, "Yeah, you're right."
Because she genuinely agrees with him. Like she didn't think that was cute either. Ah, that's so funny. And I also just want to shed a little bit of light on the photo that Chika took of her, Miko, and Kaguya when they have like the filter where they get like a little mustache each.
Oh yeah,
That's like the
nice.
cutest photo I've ever freaking seen. With like especially Miko Ino like being so short, she just sticks her head up there with a little mustache. It's so cute.
That is pretty cute. Why is it so cute? I don't know why. It's just very cute.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't think adding a mustache would make someone cute, but it does.
So something that's also really cute, but just because it's so funny, is when in the next chapter when they put the duct tape on Chika, that
Yeah.
situation is funny, but it's the obviously when Miko comes in and sees it, that's funny too. She's kind of silent and then shuts the door, like, "Oh my gosh, what have I just seen?" But in the next panel, in the background, you see Chika. She's silent with the duct tape in her mouth, on her mouth, and I don't know, just the way that's drawn is super cute to me. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know, duct tape Chica is one of the cutest things I've ever seen. It's so.
So basically, if they make a figurine of that, you'll get it.
I don't know. I don't think I would though, because I think if you put it to figurine, I think some of the comedic quality of it would be lost.
Oh yeah, maybe. Ah,
So there was another. Obviously, we talked about the shoujo manga. I think. Oh no!
yeah.
We did that. We
Well,
did it off.
we talked a little bit about that off
Mike.
recording. That is just a hilarious chapter through and through, I think.
Through and through, hilarious chapter, and just mirrors the shoujo manga so well, the genre so
Yeah.
well, and how the art style is for the girls and the boys, especially the guys. I think.
Yeah, I mean there is only one girl.
Yeah, we don't even see Chika in that
Yeah.
style, but I love how he did Shirogane and
Yeah.
Ishigami. It was so
It just screams shoujo manga. It's so amazing. I also think it's really funny with like basically when Chika intervenes or interrupts, how the art style just goes back to the moment she comes in. And just,
Right.
It's so funny. And she comes in doing like talking about the sumo wrestling or whatever it was. It's just really such a funny Chika moment
It
in
really
the middle of all
was.
that.
Yeah, and she's just another cute one is where she's eating her pudding, or she's done. She's like, "Hey, I finished eating the pudding. I can go with you."
Yeah.
That expression is just so funny to me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, obviously Kaguya's like, "No, I'm good. I'm okay."
Right. Yes. I have one last thing on funny, which is just basically the whole well, and we will talk about this I think more in the romance part, but I have to mention it as a really funny thing because when Kaguya and Miyuki got locked in and they just expected it was the other person that had
Yes.
like done that,
Yes.
and so neither one of them were scared, even though they should have been because they were actually sort of in danger. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I'll say more of that in the romance, but I agree. It was a hilarious chapter, very much so. A good mix of romance and comedy.
Absolutely.
Hence why it's called rom-com. Besides the chapter where Kaguya finds out she's love or is in denial that she's lovesick, I mean that's just a awkwardly hilarious one. You know, she's in an awkward situation.
Yeah.
I think my other favorite comedic chapter is the one with Ishigami and how he knows the mind of women apparently.
Oh yeah.
It's just each time he figures it out, and everyone's reactions to it are great. And you know,
Yeah.
like, why don't you have a girlfriend already?
Yeah.
I forget how he reacts to that, but
But it's funny though.
oh, and Chica gives him the love detective hat. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah,
I
that's
forgot.
right.
I practically died when that happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, that's a cursed item that makes people think you're stupid. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
No, he does not hold back punches.
No.
Does not hold back punches. But then he's wearing it. He's wearing it afterwards.
Yeah. Wow.
I think it's hilarious.
It is so great.
Anyway, yeah, that's all I have on comedy.
All right, nice. Well, then let's move on to the last bit of our discussion, the romance. And let's start with one thing that we mentioned a little bit earlier in the discussion when Miyuki and you are talking briefly about potential girlfriends and
Yeah, what
stuff like that.
what chapter is that again?
Well, it's got to be the...
Oh, is it the shoujo manga one?
Yes, it is. It's mostly you that talks about it in that instance there, but I think it's interesting how, well, obviously he rules out Kaguya completely. No surprise there.
Yeah, right.
And then when he talks about Miko, he says that it's not out of the question, but it will never happen. Which is like, why would he say it's not out of the question if he thinks it will never happen? What do you think?
I think, like, he wouldn't mind dating her, like, or something like that. You know, he wouldn't mind being in a relationship with her, but there's no way she would get over the grudges she has on him.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
how I took it.
uh-huh.
I'm not sure if there should be another way to
No, but I
go
think
about it.
that's a very good way to interpret that. But and then obviously that leaves like since he ruled out both of those, that left Chika, and he was afraid that he might fall in love with her because she was the only one left. uh,
I have a pretty strong feeling that'll never happen.
okay.
I just because I don't know. They have a good well. I like the I don't know how do I put this because I wish they treat each other better, but at the same time they have a good act going. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like he's blunt to her, and then she tries any way she can find to get back at him, and vice versa. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I don't. Okay. So I don't think that Ishigami would ever fall for her. Famous last words using ever. I don't think it ever fall for her, but because Fujiwara doesn't have anybody she likes right now, and if that's a
Ah.
potential plot point, then maybe she could end up having feelings for Ishigami
Ooh.
eventually.
Ooh.
But I don't know about that. I'm still kind of like, it, not sure. I think I've talked about this in previous volumes, like Volume 5, when he gives her the mint after the ramen shop. I kind of put out a
Yeah.
theory there that maybe something will happen, or maybe that's a hint of some sort of relationship between the two.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I'm still not sold on that per se. But I think if there's going to be feelings, it's probably going to start with Fujiwara, is my opinion. I just don't think
Hmm.
I don't see you jumping on that bandwagon, lack of a better word.
Uh-huh.
I don't know,
Uh-huh.
especially since he seems to, at least here, if my corrections are right, he seems somewhat. He's not objected to the idea of maybe having a relationship with Ino. So
Yeah, in some way.
I don't know.
Obviously, I feel like they both have some sort of uh, bad history with each other.
True.
So
True.
I don't think it's completely like only Ino who or Miko that dislikes him, sort of. Um, but at the same time, we know that Yu has a lot of like he has this strong sense of justice and like wanting everyone to be treated fairly, and which is
Mm-hmm.
why, well, we in the previous volume where he was sort of looking out for her. Um, he didn't want someone who was doing their best to be laughed at and those sorts of
Mm.
things. So even though she has treated him bad and to to some degree in the past, he still has he's still able to treat her well, uh, even
Mm-hmm.
though I think he still holds some bad negative feelings for her,
Yeah.
despite of that. I think,
Clearly, I don't know. So
and Miko also has a strong sense of justice,
yeah.
just like you does though. So
Well, that's the thing.
hmm,
I think they have. I mean, you even brought the parallel of them both wanting to quit the student council for different reasons, but they both want to quit. I think they have interesting parallels like
absolutely,
that. Sense of justice and whatnot. But yeah, so I guess that's why well, I'm not gonna say I feel like, oh, it's definitely gonna happen or anything like that. I'm not gonna be that
uh-huh.
bold, but I I do feel like it's more likely that that would happen than a Fujiwara Ishigami,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense. And I hope I
Yeah.
don't eat my words on this. You know what? I mean, if either of them happens, I'll probably be fine because I know Akasaka will do it very well, and I'll be like, oh man, I wish I could fall in love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I just gotta say, I really enjoy hearing you like speculate about what kind of ships will come to be and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun to hear. I can't go all out on that yet,
I
sadly.
know, I
I
know,
would
I
love to join you
know.
for it, and I will eventually. But yeah.
That's why it's like I'm just like I'm probably like spewing nonsense or even like blasphemy, and I don't even know it yet. People listening who have caught up, if they're caught up, are just probably what a stupid.
No, I think
Oh, fool, naive James. Oh, how little you know. Not saying you're like that at all, but it's the curse of being behind.
but hey, it's a blessing as well because it means you got so much more new stuff ahead of you.
Oh yeah,
I wish I was in your boat right now.
fair, very fair.
Another romantic thing we have touched on a little bit, but it's a romantic. It's like cheese, so much cheese, like cheese warning up the wazoo is obviously
You better not be lactose intolerant because here comes the cheese.
yeah, the aquarium shoujo chapter where like basically the very end of it where Kage is like she denies the request to go on a date and says because we're already in the aquarium and it's like oh my god Jesus Christmas.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's funny, but it's like really, really. Even after Miyuki went to the trouble of inviting her.
Yeah.
I mean, look. At least Ishigami and Miyuki had a good bro date, and they're like, hey, this is pretty great. I had a good time.
Yeah, I'm so glad they enjoyed that.
I'm glad they enjoyed that. Real quick, do you read or buy anything into the fact that Kaguya was viewing Ishigami in that way at all? I mean, I don't know. It's strange. Like, obviously Chika wasn't playing along, but she never saw her in that light. But I guess it's because she, rammed in with her sumo stuff. But to me, it's just funny to see Ishigami in that light whatsoever.
I think he was also under the shoujo manga brain syndrome.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
he was also kind of under that spell.
Under the spell. Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason that I can think of that. Like, it was he was just like everyone else was just a bit weird that day. Not fully himself, sort of.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, not saying I should be reading it anyway. It's just it did catch me by surprise that he would be in on that as well. But I guess it at the same time it adds to the comedy of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's gonna be a shoujo chapter, it needs to be shoujo. There needs to be a reversed harem.
True.
So
True. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Then let us talk about Battle 78. Kaguya doesn't scare easily.
When I first saw the first pages of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna get steamy.
Yes.
It looks like it was colorized, does it not?
Oh, you mean like initially colorized and then made black and white afterward? Yeah, I think maybe, or unless they just spent extra time on the shading. I don't know exactly.
I guess that's possible.
I don't know exactly how that usually works, but I mean, definitely, it's definitely more. There's been more effort put into it on that very first page, and just how what an opening to a chapter that is, and it really leaves you wanting to know how did that what led up to that. So yeah, and then obviously we get to see that.
It was good. I loved how their imaginations kind of ran wild and funny enough, Miyuki was thinking just putting that Kaguya wanted him to put his jacket around her, something a little more innocent, whereas Kaguya went into the kind of the more wild side where he tries to kiss her or whatever.
Smack. Yeah.
Yeah, the smack. So, it's kind of flipped a little. I remember in the earlier volumes,
Hmm.
it it was more Miyuki having the more intimate desires, I guess you could say, whereas Kage was like, "Oh, I'll hold his hand, or I'll do this," or
Yeah. Uh,
you know what I mean?
let, yeah. Although right now, thinking about like what is more intimate, a a kiss or like basically cuddling, I feel like they're pretty even. In my mind anyway.
I guess so.
Or I don't know. Maybe kiss is slightly more intimate. Um, but still like holding each other close, like Miyuki is envisioning, is also pretty like it's also very
Sure,
intimate, I'd say.
it just it seems a little more innocent than. I mean, not saying
Oh
kissing
yeah.
is innocent, but just a little
Hmm.
more, like the
Yeah.
step before it. Whereas kissing it maybe is right there. But she has been reading shoujo manga, and you know she understands more about the relationships between men and women. So
Yes.
um, maybe her imagination is getting the best of her there. But I
Mm.
mean, through a series of mistakes, they suddenly find each other really close to their face, and a kiss
Yeah.
almost happened. Really,
Oh, they're so close. Oh, and then Miko Ino comes in again. Oh, I love this. I love that.
Kaguya gets out of it like she escaped with her life.
Yeah.
uh, I guess I don't blame her, but at the same time, it does put Miyuki in a rather precarious position. You know,
Yeah.
like he forced it upon her. But
Definitely. And it's
obviously, Miko changes her mind afterwards. But
yeah. But for Kaguya to do that, especially in front of Miko, it's a dirty move, I think.
yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
But I mean, shouldn't be surprised, I guess.
Nah.
But yeah, like that was definitely the closest they've been to like anything like that so far. So that was nice. That was hot.
Yeah, it was. I like how Kaguya was, you know, at least earlier than Miyuki, not willing but realizing that kissing could be an option. And then it wasn't until they got
Mm.
into that position where Miyuki also realizes that, well, he realizes that kissing is not in fairy tales or whatever. Kisses don't
Yeah.
only happen in fairy tales.
Right.
So just,
Right.
I don't know, I like how that writing was done there. Kind of.
Definitely.
I think that's all I have on this one, other than it was a very spicy, steamy interaction.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So I guess that covers most of what we wanted to talk about today. I want to point out that we are now halfway to volume 16, aka
Woo!
as far as I've read. So yeah, we're getting there. Soon you'll be caught up to me, or somewhat soon. We've done this
Someone soon.
in we've covered this all in about 2.5 months. So another 2.5 months and you'll be caught up.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, me too. So much. I already bought volume 17. I got it in my bookshelf. Have not opened it. Uh, obviously will not. I will not. The temptation will not take over too much. But it is like I look at it, from time to time, and I'm like, oof, can't wait to open that
Longingly.
book. Yeah, totally. But yeah, how are you right now with favorite characters in the story?
Hmm. I think Ishigami is ahead of Miyuki for me right now.
Hmm.
Um.
Did he get ahead of Miyuki with this volume for you?
Hmm. Just
Cool.
because there's some mysteries there to Ishigami, but also just his just constant comedic moments are really great, and he's so relatable to a
Mm.
nerd like myself that
Yes, yes.
um, it's yeah, you can really sympathize with him. Not saying Miyuki's not bad, but I haven't had. There's always he's such a good guy, but I haven't had a recent, you know, whoa, Miyuki's awesome kind of a moment since Volume 5. Well, last volume did have him saving or helping out Miko. So
Yeah.
that was pretty good. But besides that, there wasn't anything it hasn't been anything too great.
Yeah,
So I
especially
think
not in this volume, sadly.
right. So I think Ishigami has that mystery but relatable side to him. So I'm liking what I'm seeing
Mm.
there. But overall, I think I'm really debating if I like Chika or Kaguya more.
Ah.
It's
Are they fighting for your number one spot?
I think so. Kaguya has so much plot development,
Yeah.
but Chika's getting a little bit more, and I just that relationship that they share and kind of got a better understanding of each other in that sense. I really like that. So I think that kind of helped me like Chika even more. So I
Mm.
don't know. It's hard for me to say right now, because I do value character growth and backstory a lot. And to be honest, we haven't got a whole lot of that from Chika.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
still, she's just too pure and hilarious. Well,
Oh
pure
yeah.
maybe not the right word, but bubbly and hilarious. But anyway,
She's great.
yeah. I'm not feeling Miko yet, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
I I like the dynamic she brings, but I haven't fallen in love or just been like, wow, this character's great quite yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I respect that totally. This is only her second volume after all.
True.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have really taken a liking. I mean, obviously, you know that she is my favorite character up to the point where I have read, but even based on these first two volumes with her, I really really have enjoyed her. And maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Hard to say. I guess maybe, but I really really have enjoyed her. And I think at this point for me, I think my favorite character is a tie maybe I think between you and Miko,
Okay.
with Kaguya as a close third after those two. I think.
Yeah. I think that's a good list.
But yeah, I'm super excited to talk about Volume 9 with you next month. Volume 9 has 11 chapters, so it's one chapter longer than all of the
Ooh.
other volumes.
Nice.
And it is actually slightly denser than the other
Man.
volumes are.
I wish I had it right now so I could start reading it.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to talk about that one with you. So yeah. Anything else you want to say before we end this episode?
Like I said before, the volume. I think this is my favorite volume so far.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot of good stuff there. So
Awesome. Yes. So yeah, thank you to anyone who listened to us geek out about this volume. In the video description, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can find links to our Twitter. If you want to go follow that, we also have an open Discord server for Umami Manga, where you can meet other weebs and geek out about manga and anime and whatever. You can also find a link to James's other YouTube channel called Nintensity, where he covers video game topics, a lot of Nintendo stuffs, and streams. And you can find my YouTube and SoundCloud, where I go under the name Leon Morris, where I share all of the music that I compose. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you all next time, where we'll talk about Volume 9. Bye bye!
goodbye.